Hello, good evening. Welcome to Photojam. Okay, let me just get rid of this, yeah? Okay, tonight I've got a special guest with me. His name is Yung Yaw. He's a very well-known wedding photographer. And as long as I've known Yung Yaw, he's always been a very, avid Nikon user. So tonight, we're going to bring you online and he's going to talk about the Nikon Z5. Sorry, Nikon Z5. Okay. All right. Hello. Okay. Hi, Yung Yaw. Slip of the tongue there,
Hello.
because for me, I use two systems. I use the Nikon as well as the Canon. So to me, they're quite interchangeable. But okay, let's hear from you tonight. It's all about you tonight. So introduce yourself, Yung Yaw. Maybe you can do more justice than what I've provided our audience for tonight.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Yung Yaw. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer. Like Wei Tat mentioned, I've been a wedding photographer for around 11 years. And I've been using Nikon all this while. Just not that I'm a fanboy, but once I started using Nikon, I feel that it is a good system that allows me to do my work professionally. And I've stayed on ever since. And I'm glad I switched to the recent mirrorless camera, which is Z6 or Z6, whichever way you want to pronounce it. But today we are talking about the little brother, the Z5 or the Z5.
It's not quite little, is it? I mean, if you look at the spec, it is a
Or
full-fledged,
I should say it's
full-fledged, full-frame camera with two proper card slots in it.
I should say it's a younger brother instead of a little.
Yeah. I think it's younger brother because it is quite grown up in features. And then, by the way, you've got Dennis. Dennis Woon says hello. Yeah. And
Hello, Dennis.
And I think you're well known as a Nikon user as well because Sun Dukmia said hello, Nikon Sifu. So that's a credit to you. So okay, let's see. Should we roll the promo roll first, and then we can launch into the camera itself? Yeah. So I'm going to. So tonight I just want to, just for the sake of disclosure, we're not sponsored by Nikon or anything, so we're just chatting about it. I do have a demo unit from a YL camera tonight, so maybe that one will help illustrate the Nikon Z5 better when we actually go through Yung Yaw's explanations. So this is the video. Okay, there you go. Everybody, please like and share. We're not going to make you buy fish or prawns or durians or anything you don't want to buy. We're just going to share tonight, and I think with all of you who are photographers, please share with your other photographers. We need the support. We need when we do live like this. It's always more fun when it's interactive. Yeah. And for if any questions you have, you want to say hi to our Langzai here, please post in the comments.
He means Wei Tat.
No, I'm not. Everybody I'm not talking about myself here.
Okay, yeah. So let's maybe shall we begin with the talk about the camera?
Okay, all right. Let me take you to your slides, right?
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
All right. Okay. First of all, I seldom have photo of myself. So this is a very limited edition selfie of myself at a campsite, which we recently went right before the CMCO again. So, yep. Okay. Okay. This is me, and obviously that one is the camera, the Z5. Okay, let's briefly go through the specs. I'm not going to bore you with all the small little details of the camera, but it is good to highlight what this camera is all about. It is sort of like a Nikon version of entry level to a full frame mirrorless camera. For you guys who already knew or might not know, Nikon already have, I think, before this, they already have three mirrorless camera, which is Z6, Z7, and also the Z50. So the Z6 and Z7 is the full frame, their first version of full frame mirrorless camera. And the Z50 is crop sensor, APS-C sensor mirrorless camera. So this is their take on the entry level to the full frame category. So this camera has a 24 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. It's not a BSI sensor, which we'll talk about later in the slides. And it has the same hybrid AF system like the Z6, 273 phase detect points. And the good thing is it covers 90% of the frame, means almost you can put your focus sensor to like right to the corner of the frame. And obviously, one of the key differences is it has 4.5 frame per second continuous shooting with AF. And it has the same in-body stabilization. The EVF is 3.96 million dot OLED viewfinder, and it has dual UHS 2 SD card slots, which is quite many people are waiting for this. And in terms of video feature, it has 4K 30p, but it has a crop. We will talk about this more when we do the comparison between Z5 and Z6 and also the other cameras. And of course, it has the headphones and microphone ports, and also the same weather sealing like the dust and moisture seal.
Yung Yaw, you're a very popular guy. I see a lot of people like saying hi to you. Michael Kwan, Desmond Lee, have to thank him from YL Camera because he actually gave me a loaner unit for tonight's show. And Si Chin Boon also YL Camera have to like he made this arrangement for us to pick this camera up from YL Camera at Jaya 33 this afternoon. So many thanks to Chin Boon and his team.
Yeah.
Eugene
Many
Lau,
thanks.
I think Eugene Lau is someone you know as well, right? You know, he's saying hi.
Oh, it's my old-time buddies. Known him for like many 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think spec-wise, it does look quite complete. You know, like I mean, I've looked at. I mean, the OLED 3.69 dot OLED. I've tried looking into this camera, and it looks beautiful. The viewfinder is very sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it is. I would say, although it is an entry-level mirrorless camera, but I would say Nikon is not stingy on features in this Z5. So I'm glad they didn't like take away a lot of useful specs that people might need. Maybe they will skim out on things that people might not always use.
No. And you know, I noticed it's even dust and moisture seal. You know, like for a supposedly entry level full frame camera from Nikon. You know, that's a very impressive spec.
Yes, exactly. So when talk about this, then I'll link back to the stories why Waiter asked me to talk about this camera, because on the previous Photojam show about V Review channel, four of us went camping in Cameron in Sungai Pao. So during that trip, I asked my good friends in Nikon. I say, hey, I have this trip, and I wanted to create some content. Do you think I can borrow the Z5 to for the trip? And they say, yeah, by all means, take it. But they might need it back after, because they still have roadshow, because the camera at that time was just launched, and they have roadshow and they need it for demo. So I only have a brief moment, which is only for the trip. And that's how Waiter asked me to come and talk about this camera, because at least I have a few nights with that camera. And
the way you say that is like, you know, I had a few nights with the camera, you know.
Introductory romance. Just
the way you speak about cameras is you're very passionate about them. Man.
Yeah, I think all cameras or all the equipments are our tools and also our teammates, which will help us to do our work and to get what we want to achieve what we want to take. So although if you see the condition of my camera, it's not the best or the most perfect, but I will say I will try to take care of my gears quite nicely whenever possible. The key thing is whenever possible. Okay. So we went to the camp, and then I managed to test it out in terms of like use it as a holiday camera and use it to create content. And because we just started the V Review channel, YouTube channel, and we all need to create some contents, which are videos content. So I also tested the video capability of the camera. Although it is not as full featured as Z7, but I'm glad to say actually it is good enough for content creation, especially for YouTube channel. But if you are into 4K, then yeah, maybe that's a slight drawback. But we'll talk more about that later. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the photos that I took during the trip, and then I'll try to talk about a bit of the photos, and then after that, then we can go through the comparison between the Z5, the Z6, and even the little brother, the Z50.
You're not the only one which have a familial appreciation for your camera. The Jokwa here, she's laughing and said like how I call my camera my baby. Yeah? So it's not you're not unique, but it's like I think if you keep it in check, it's a healthy fascination for you. Eh?
Yeah, I think if we take care of our gears, the gears will take care of us as well. But I haven't go to the extent like some people will treat it like a good friends, like they even give names to their cameras. I'm not to that extent yet lah.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, now I'm going to move on. In case you guys have any questions or you want to ask me about the camping experience, how I take the photos, or any technical information about the cameras, you can ask in the comments, and then we'll come back to the questions later. All right. Oh, before that, let's quickly and briefly show the overview of the cameras. If you can see on the left-hand side is the Z5 and Z6. On the other side, one glance, they are actually very similar. In fact, I told Weta that because I brought two cameras to the camping trip, I've been switching both of them like on and off. If I don't look at the camera strap mount at the bottom, sometimes I wouldn't be able to tell, like just quickly grab the camera, then I don't know which one is which. I have to check, oh, okay, this is a Z6 or this is a Z5. It is, I mean, for me as a Z6 user, the familiarity is a very welcome feature, I think, because everything is just at the same place, the dials, the buttons, everything is at the same place. So the only difference is the mode dial, they have switched to the right-hand side, which is nearer to the shutter button. If I show the top view, yeah, you can see the mode dial have been switched to the nearer to the shutter button, and the top display of the Z6 is no more. They removed that. Some people would find it useful, but some people might not rely it that much. Sometimes I look at it like if I want to preset the setting before I take up the camera and shoot, I'll use the display. But I would say that's a feature that I can forego if the price is good.
I think while you have this out, let me show you my top cam. Yeah, and
Yeah, you can show the camera.
Okay, you can see the cam here. Now, what I have here is my D800. Okay, so this was actually one of my first full frame Nikon cameras that I bought. It's quite an old camera. But one thing, if you're a Nikon user, one thing nice about it, you pick this up, everything is where you are used to it. Like the on-off switch right in front here, right? You have you have these buttons here. You have if you look at the back, the familiar joystick and the play button, they're all in the same place. Yeah? So one thing good, even though this is probably a camera that's over like 5 or 6 years old, right? The D800, when it came out, it was it was quite a respectable camera. Still is, it's 36 megapixel full frame camera. And if you look at the your so-called little brother now, it's really not, in terms of like familiarity, yeah, it feels the same. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So not even the physical buttons and the dials and everything. Even the feel of the grip and the menu system is very very familiar. Like I came from I used many Nikon camera body before, like D6, D50, D70S, D300, D700, D750, Z6, and now the Z5 as well. So yeah, for me, some people will say, "Oh, it's boring and never change," but for me, it's a plus lah. So I don't need to relearn every camera. I can pick up any Nikon camera and I just feel at home.
There's a question here from Tricia. Tricia, it's like from, I think she's from Sabah. Hi, Yung Yaw. You mentioned that you switched system to Nikon. What was your experience? I've been thinking to try out a different system like Nikon, but not confident yet. Ha ha ha.
Okay. Actually, for my career professionally, I've been using Nikon all this while. But in fact, my first camera was a Canon prosumer camera, the Canon PowerShot S1. So if you say I switch system, yeah, I might switch from Canon to Nikon, but that was the early stage. But it means from generation to generation of Nikon, I feel there isn't any very steep learning curve. But in terms of if you are coming from other systems like other brands, or let's say Canon or Sony, I think the learning curve will be very, very easy. In fact, I'm not sure if Nikon Malaysia has this offer or not, but if I remember correctly, I read an article saying you can actually try out the Z5 for up to 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. But you can always go to the Nikon Service Center or the Experience Hub in Jaya 1 to test it out.
So if anybody from Nikon is actually on this live, please maybe you can share those in the comments as well. Now I've got Josephine Kwa here. She says, she echoes what you're saying. That's why I love about Canon. The cams feel closely to the same. So if you are Nikon. If you're coming to this from a Nikon, say a 750 or a 780, the latest incarnation of the 7 series. This will probably feel very familiar in your hand,
Yes, definitely. Of course, there are some new features and some new menu items, but it's like you are learning one or two, three, a few items new. The rest are like quite familiar.
Okay. Now let me take you back to your slide, yeah?
All right, okay. Since Weitat will have the physical camera, if you want to know more about like where are the buttons, where are the dials, where are the ports, you can ask him to show it more later. But I'm just quickly glance through the physical appearance. Like this is like a spot the difference game. Like if I ask you to spot the difference, maybe you only can circle a few differences only. Okay, so now come to the photos I've taken from the trip. For this trip, actually, I didn't take a lot of photos because I concentrated more on videos, creating videos content. But on and off, I just took photos with the Z5. And of course, I have the Z6 together. So I just switched between the two cameras. In fact, I'm really glad that the Adobe Max event was just happened recently. And before this, actually, I wasn't able to open the raw file, some of the raw files, the Z5 raw files, because apparently there's a bug in the Adobe Camera Raw. Not a bug, maybe, I would say it's a bug, but they can't open certain raw files. Let's say if you are shooting with third-party lenses, those raw files cannot be opened. And if you are shooting with Nikon lenses, even f-mount or the Z-mount lenses, you can open no problem. So they recently updated the camera raw, and just right in time before I come onto the show, and I managed to like open most of all of the raw files. Okay, so this is not a very picturesque place or whatever, but I just want to test out the dynamic range of the camera. In fact, this place is called the Letz Cafe. If you have been to Cameron, I think we have recommended this place quite a lot. Yeah. This place sells scones and tea. So their scones are very nice. So if you are there, you should try that out. Okay, Of course, I've edited my photos according to my taste, but if you can see, I'm indoor. The indoor is quite, I mean, it doesn't have any lights. It's just like all the lights came in from the windows. Natural light came in from the windows. So in order to balance the outdoor light and the indoor light, sometimes it's not that easy. This is the edited version. This is the original non-edited version. So you can see some of the highlights are actually blown. If I switch between back and forth, you can see the stickers, the lamp, the lamp details, the trees behind. Actually, I would say, in fact, the sensor is a 24 megapixel sensor, and many say this is the same sensor as the Z750. I would agree in certain degree, because I feel that the dynamic range is actually very good. It's not so far off from the Z6, I would say. So this is a very capable camera. Okay, just some random shots at the cafe while we were having the wonderful scones.
Really random.
Yeah, really random. So, and this is the scone that we have been promoting.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is another test of the dynamic range. I took it. Obviously, I was pointing it to the sky, and this is the original photos. Of course, this is not the most extreme case of the exposure dynamic range, but with the raw files, I managed to pull back quite a lot of details from the cloud.
Oh, that's not bad. That's pretty impressive.
So I would say the Z5 actually is very usable as a professional camera. If you are really planning to get a camera for your professional work, either be it wedding photography or portraits or event, I think this is a very good camera.
Because you know what, I actually went and checked up some reviews. There are quite a number of people recommending this as a professional wedding camera, and one of the reasons is this: it's full frame. It's performance-wise is quite it's quite respectable, yeah.
Yep.
And cost-wise, it's very affordable for a full frame, yeah. And I think for those of us that actually like make a living out of photography, yeah, if you can spend less on the equipment and get professional results, then it is a very attractive proposition.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay, let's move on. Some of the features, photos, I will just quickly go through. Okay, this is the tent that we set up at the campsite, and after we finished setting up the campsite, we just take some konon gaya lazy photos, portraits of ourselves. Okay, so then it's time to cook, and we started campfire, and it's Edmund, by the way.
Which lens is this, by the way?
Okay, this is the Nikon 20mm f1.8 lens.
Wow, it's quite a nice sensor. I mean, you can get a lot of nice effects, at this wide angle.
Yeah. Actually, large aperture prime lens is very can be very nice if you know how to use it properly.
Is this a native lens or adapted?
This is a f-mount lens.
F-mount. Okay, adapted then.
Adapted. Okay. I think they just released the Z-mount 21.8.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So so this is adapted with what they call the FTZ adapter. Is that correct?
Yes. So when you talk about the FTZ adapter, many might ask, is there any performance difference between the FTZ and the f-mount lenses and also the native Z-mount lenses? I think the adapter is actually doing quite a good job in adapting. I don't feel any difference. Like I've been switching between D750 and the Z6 using the adapter. Actually, I don't notice any performance difference in terms of focusing speed or accuracy. In fact, sometimes I feel it is a bit faster on the Z6. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then the sun start to set, and just grab. Okay. This is the Z-mount 85mm 1.8 lens. I also managed to borrow that lens for the trip. It's actually quite a compact lens, prime lens for 85mm. And I thought, okay, it's quite lightweight, so maybe it's good for the trip.
Wow, that's very nice.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's the sun has set and the sky turned blue, and there's a street lamp nearby, and also we brought some light, it's yellow light. So the blending of the cold and the warm light is, I find it quite pleasing.
So I noticed you're shooting this at fairly high ISOs, 3002,
Oh
and,
yeah. I purposely put the EXIF to show that what settings I was on, and okay, like for instance, this photos 3002. In fact, actually, it is very usable if I show you the 100%.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is very usable.
And another important thing is, like at high ISOs, you're still maintaining like good skin tone colors.
Yeah.
They're not turning blue or strange or some sort of odd saturation.
Yes, maybe I'm a bit biased. I've been a Nikon user for all the time. But I find that Nikon color straight out of camera is actually quite very nice. And I think the good thing about the Z5 and the Z6 is their color profile is quite similar. So if I do editing, I still need to tweak a bit between shots to shots, but it's not like very big difference. So it's let's say if you want to use the Z5 as a second body, I think it's a very good option. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So all these are taken with 3002. For photos, I didn't push the ISO too high. Maybe partly also because I was using 20mm and I can slow down the shutter speeds quite a lot. Of course, not quite a lot. 1/80 is still quite fast. Consider that focal length. But because the camera comes with IBIS, I can hold the camera with much slower shutter speed with no problem.
So again, that's I mean, for at that price point to come with IBIS is actually very, very good.
Yes. And the IBIS performance is actually comparable to Z6. I don't feel any differences.
I mean, if you look at the other entry-level cameras that came out over the past year, mirrorless, I mean, they give you the camera full frame, but they somehow leave out something, and usually they leave out things like your IBIS, or in terms of like ISO performance and things like. But I mean, this camera actually there's nothing short in that camera. The whole package is there.
Yes. It's good enough for you to carry out your work professionally even. So that's why I say it is a very good entry-level camera to have.
And usually, like not many people actually need 12 frames per second. I think burst rate is one of the things that this camera is slower in, but it's one of those things that you have in camera, but we hardly ever use in normal photography. Yeah. So
I mean. These are the drawbacks that I'm willing to forego given the price difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a deal breaker. It's like you said, not many people will need that burst.
I mean, for me, is I have I'm still like doing most of my professional work using Nikon. So I've got the whole plethora of Nikon lenses, but in terms of like getting a mirrorless, I've not taken that plunge with the Nikon. But looking at this camera at this price point with this feature set, it's definitely a very compelling, option for me to look into.
I think the Z5 you're having in your house now, you can keep it forever already.
I'm not sure. I hope you shouldn't have said that because like Desmond and CJ Boon are watching this. So like, I cannot do it quietly now.
Let Weithat have it longer. Poison him. Yeah, I just told Weithat maybe you should try to use it as a live stream camera. I think the live stream capability is surprisingly good for this camera.
Actually, you said that. Let me show you something. Yeah. I've actually got this. Let me plug it in. Okay, so live stream. Okay, let's go live streaming on this. Okay, so this is I'm actually using this camera now. So the focus is quite snappy, and look at the colors. you know, look at the colors, you know.
Yeah,
Really
it's
impressive, huh?
yeah, it's very usable. I mean,
You know, look at that, you know.
yeah, straight out of camera is already
I mean,
very
straight at
nice.
camera, you know, you really don't have to do anything with the colors at all. So I'm when I plugged it in and took my first few shots, I was like, wow, you know.
Okay, Desmond, Wita is going to pay you later. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Just some camping activity shots. Most of this, because it was quite dark already, so all of these are taken with 3002 ISO.
It doesn't help
And
that Joe is like prodding me. That's what I love about the Nikon. Their cams feel closely the same, and then you know she's laughing out loud. Why not just buy it? Oh dear.
yeah, just get it.
No, I still have to like you know get this passed by the Ministry of Finance. Hopefully she's not watching this tonight.
Oh, you say you're using it for your live stream. So
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah.
I
I
think
can justify it. I can justify it.
yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, this is the night, and then the next day, I took the campsite. Actually, there's a tiny river next to the campsite.
Yeah.
It's very tiny, in fact. But for this shot, I purposely slow down the shutter as slow as I can to give the water like the motion blur of the water flowing. So for this shot, although this is a 20 mm lens, I managed to slow it down to 1/3 second. I believe if 1/2, maybe I can get lucky with 1 or 2 shots, but 1/3, I still can handheld. I didn't use tripod for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we went hiking at a trail near our campsite, and we took photo of each other's, and this photo of John. I hope he's watching. He is having dinner now, I think. And yeah, this is my shoe. This is Adidas Kampong.
Okay.
Nice and good shoe. Yeah, all this because okay, if you notice, I use 20 mm most of the time because I brought 2 cameras. The other camera, I think I use 85, and this one I put 20 mm. So I was afraid the rain would come, so I didn't swap lenses. But anyway, yeah, I mean, luckily it didn't rain. Even though I was using the 20 mm, I try to push wide open most of the time, like 1.8. If for DSLR, last time I might be hesitant to push like all the way wide open because there might be some focusing. I mean, the accuracy problem. But for mirrorless, because the focusing is what you see is what you get, so I can have confidence like always push wide open and it still nail the shot. Of course, there's sometimes user error. The focus point will go to the back, but I get a lot of keepers than as compared to DSLR.
I think that's one of the great things about mirrorless. You don't have to do all this, you know, like focus, fine adjustment, fine tuning anymore because
Yeah, fine tune.
because you know it's actually getting the focus, you know, on the sensor itself. So what you see is what you get. Not unlike the older DSLR cameras where they have to calibrate the sensor to the mirrors, you know, viewfinder. So I mean, ever since I've used some of these mirrorless cameras, you know, focus is never an issue. You never, you know what, if it catches focus on the screen, you press the button, it is going to be tack sharp.
Yep. And if you see, John is actually at the lower third of the frame. Of course, because he's still in the center portion region, DSLR, I can still focus him and then recompose a bit. But with mirrorless, because the focus point has 90% coverage of the full sensor, I can put the focus and the point at the lower part of the frame, and I don't need to like recompose my shot.
Okay.
Which can be
For those of you watching, please stay towards the end. We actually have a surprise offer to you know like, to share with all of you.
Yeah, stay on.
Stay on, please.
You won't regret it.
And if you have any questions, like I really appreciate all the interaction so far. Please, say hi to Yung Yaw, get him to crack a corny joke or something. He's very good at it.
Okay, I try. Yeah, so another attempt of me trying to use a wide open aperture to get some shallow depth of field from even though ultra wide
Yung Yaw,
prime lens.
I mean, since you had it for like a whole week in the jungle, how's the battery performance?
Oh, in fact, surprisingly, it's quite well. I've been shooting videos and photos on and on. I mean, I've been like hybrid shooting. I think it can last me quite a whole day with no problem. Of course, I haven't had a chance to bring it for a full wedding shoot, but I think the battery life, because the Z5 come with the new EN-EL15C battery, which has higher capacity, and according to CIPA rating, is even the battery life is even better than Z6. So I think it should last quite a longer as compared to Z6.
Oh, one thing good about this Nikon is it maintains the same form factor. It's the 15, right? EL15, which means that even the batteries from my my good old like D800 would work in this camera. I've got lots of these batteries. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's one more good thing about it. Sometimes when they come up with so-called entry-level camera, they always cripple the battery. That's one of the first things they always cripple. Yeah. So I think it's very good that Nikon actually maintain the same battery. So all your investments in battery, as well as the charges and everything, remains the same.
Yes. This is very valuable. Otherwise, you have to buy a new set of battery again. And in fact, the new battery is better than the EN-EL15B of my Z6.
I mean, especially for us that commercial photographers, wedding photographers, you don't want to buy a camera and then have to change your batteries and your chargers, and as a wedding photographer, you probably have 6 or 7 of this in your bag on a shooting day, right?
Yep.
So it's not so you work it out. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot of money. If you needed to get new batteries just because you changed your camera.
Yep. Okay.
No.
Let's go through again. Again, another attempt of slow shutter, handheld, no tripod.
And this is 1/3 of a second, right?
Yeah, 1/3 of a second.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the IBIS is actually quite useful for photos, and is also quite useful for videos as well. It is not gimbal-like, but I think with the IBIS on, is actually makes the video a lot more stable. But of course, I'm not a trained videographer, so my hand still, the motion still not as smooth. I need more training. But
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice flares there.
Thanks to the water dropped on the lens. Yeah, it's quite a nice bokeh. Although it's 7 or 8 sides, hexagonal or what. Yeah. Right. This close-up capability of the 20mm. The reason why I focus on this is, I don't know why people go camping. They cannot bring their rubbish out. After they eat the junk food, they just slot it into the tree trunk. Why?
That's awful, huh?
Yeah, it's so bad. And the rubbish will most probably grow with the tree.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. So, I mean, please, whoever go hiking, camping, or whatever nature, bring your rubbish out whenever possible. Not whenever, must bring your rubbish out. Yeah. Okay, then, like John mentioned in the previous Photojam session, we went before Malaysia Day. So he brought along the Malaysia flag. So we took some patriotic portraits with the Malaysia flag.
These photos are always useful because you never know, when they're going to have a photo competition, and they always have patriotism as a team.
Yeah. Although we are not extremely language, but hopefully it's good enough. Okay, yeah, then everyone just posts differently. And I try to be an eagle or butterfly. Right. Then on the second night, the second day, it was pouring quite a whole day and quite heavily. So this where the dust and weather sealing comes in handy, because it was literally like not drizzling, it's like a heavy downpour. So I also have to take videos and photos around our activities. So I would say the camera survived. I've stand under the rain, of course not a long time, but it survived. So later we'll talk about the more details, but in fact the body is actually made of plastic, but the durability and the feel is as good as the maximum body of the Z6. So I won't be able to tell like if I hold both the cameras side by side. Yeah, this is John. He's not digging a graveyard, he's just digging a hole to let the water flow out. Our campsite was flooded because of heavy rain. Okay, the reason I show this is because I was taking video and I accidentally pressed the shutter button. And for Nikon system, when you're shooting a video, if you press the shutter button, it will actually take a screen grab as a JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually my settings for the video that time. It's like 5006 ISO.
Yeah.
And of course, this is 1080p resolution, but the noise is very usable, like for our screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, then because I was using the auto ISO setting, so the ISO fluctuates a bit. This is 4005. I mean, if you zoom in 100%, yeah, you might see some grains and noises, but it's very usable for many occasions. And this is John after he finished burying the mayat. Yeah. Okay, this is the last day morning. They woke up early to take sunrise photo, and I stay at the camp to be the jaga. No, I have reviews to do, so I stay back to finish up my review.
By the way, like Yung Yaw and his friends, they have a channel on YouTube called V Review. So go check it out. It has a lot of interesting things. And latest you see Yung Yaw like partying with his Bluetooth speakers by the river.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, the Bluetooth speaker video I shot using, most of the shots were taken using the Z5.
Okay. So that's another
that's
good
reason
to watch it.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I borrowed the Z5 from Nikon.
I see.
Yeah. And yep. And then this is our 10, which Andrew showed before. And me, cam whoring again.
Wow.
And me. Okay, that's it for the trip. The rest of the content, if you guys want to watch more, you can go to vreview.xyz to check out more of our videos. vreview.xyz, yeah? All right. Yep. Okay, so I finished the photo my sharing. I just grabbed this comparison screen from DP Review. Before this, actually, I went to an unboxing event, live event, organized by Nikon at Nikon Experience Hub, and I prepared this material for that event, but didn't manage to use up. But anyway, it's nice to do a quick comparison because we have been talking about the differences. Of course, when you are investing in a camera, you want to know, should I get the Z5 or the Z6, or should I just go with the entry level Z50? Especially now the Z6, I think the price point has dropped quite a fair bit because it has been launched in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2018, and the Z5 was around August or July this year. Okay, I'll quickly go through the specs, and if you guys have any questions, if you want to know what are the differences that are not shown in the specs, you can let me know. If I know, I can tell you. Okay, in terms of resolution, they are very comparable. The Z5 is 25 megapixel. The Z5 is 24, Z6 is 25, and the Z50 APS-C sensor is 21 megapixel. So the rest I didn't highlight, which maybe I thought it's not relevant or interesting. Okay, in terms of sensor, the difference I think is the Z6 has BSI CMOS sensor. BSI means backside illuminated, and the Z5 and the Z50 they're using the CMOS sensor only, which I think is the same as the D750. So what are the differences? The BSI sensor, it has a dual gain circuits, whereby if you are going into high ISO, it has a lower gain amplifier, so that your higher ISO images will appear cleaner, and also it has faster readout. So in terms of the what do you call that? The jello effect when you're panning the camera is much lesser. So the other things, they are using the same processor and everything. Everything are comparable. Even the ISO range is the same, like 100 to 51,000, and you can expand higher.
You know, one thing about this camera is I'm going to bring up the menu for this system. If you've ever used a Nikon system, you find these menus are very, very familiar. You know, even down to this A B C D E F G. Which is only unique to Nikon. From one of the earliest cameras, you find the same menu system, right?
Yeah.
So if you are coming from another Nikon body, these things are more or less like second nature to you, because it's exactly how you would expect to see them.
Yes, exactly.
One thing here, it does have 2 card slots. So I think that's one thing worth mentioning about this camera compared to the other Z bodies. Now the Z6 and the Z7s, when they came out with is it QXD cards? XQD cards, which are good, very robust, very fast, but expensive. And not many people have the XQD cards like handy in their arsenal. This camera comes with two
UHS-2.
Okay, yeah.
UHS-2 SD card.
SD
which
cards.
Is, higher speed SD card, much cheaper than SQD. So it's a good thing. It's backward compatible. If you already have SD card, you still can use it. And since the burst rate is not very high, you don't need extremely fast speed memory card anyway.
And this, it comes with Wi-Fi as well, right? Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yeah, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Yeah, the good thing about I think it's a useful feature to have, because sometimes when you are before this, people shoot tethered computer. You have to pull the USB cable, a long USB cable. But with this, I tested out the Wi-Fi link. Actually, quite okay. I mean, in terms of you want to have a instant view, live view of your shoot, it's actually quite okay. You just create a peer-to-peer network connection to your laptop, or you can download the app on your phone. You can have the Wi-Fi connection. Not only tethered shooting, you also can shoot remotely. Like you can set up the camera one corner, and then you can change the setting from the phone app as well.
Just to prove to you, this is the first time I'm using this camera, and I had no problems finding the Wi-Fi connection page.
Good job.
So I mean, if this was another camera, I'll probably be fiddling with these buttons for the next 5 minutes.
Yep. Like you are experienced Nikon user, you definitely managed to find the menu.
Oh, and it has a USB power delivery as well.
Yep. This is another plus point. Aside from the 2 dual card slot, which is better than the Z6, the power delivery feature is also better than the Z6, which I'm glad they include in. Not to say, this is the entry level, I don't give you this feature.
I mean, I'm glad maybe you can explain what's the significance of this USB power delivery.
Okay. At the side, definitely, that's a USB port. For Z6, you can charge the internal battery using the USB port, but only when the camera is off.
I see, okay.
And you have to use the ENEL16B battery. But for Z5, sorry, just now was 6, the 5, you can charge the battery and power the camera at the same time using the USB port.
As a videographer, you know what a big deal that is. If you get the proper power delivery power bank, you plug it in, you can use it the whole day.
Yeah. And if you want to do live stream or whatever, you can actually just plug it in and don't have to worry about the battery draining in the camera.
It's amazing. Yeah. The more I do this review, the more racun I'm getting.
You're feeling don't want to return already, right? Yeah. Oh, but just now you were mentioning about the menu system. In fact, for the mirrorless system, there's an I menu, which is some sort of like a shortcut menu, which I find it very handy. You can customize the shortcut menu and to whichever way you want it to. Then I think you can have up to 10 quick settings that you can change quickly from the iMenu. And the good thing is the iMenu have separate settings for photos and videos. So if you switch to video, yep.
And one thing I've just noticed, this is very impressive as well. Most camera operators, although you have touch, you can touch focus and you can touch and pinch and all that, but you cannot touch on the menu. So this one is actually quite. You can actually touch on the menu to change the settings. This is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I've just noticed it because, usually, a lot of camera manufacturers, you can do touch focus or they don't even provide you with touch functions as well. But usually when it comes to the menu, you still have to use the old-fashioned knobs. But this one actually allows me to touch, and it's actually quite usable.
Yes. And in fact, if you are previewing your photos, you can actually swipe like you are flipping the photos on your phone screen.
So if I'm doing that, I can, oh wow, okay, this is like my iPad.
Yeah. And then if you go to the bottom part of the screen.
Okay, pinch as well. Okay, that's neat.
In zoom, everything can, double tap or whatever. And then if you zoom out and then you go to the bottom part of your screen, you can actually scroll the photos quickly between your,
Okay.
You have to zoom out all the way.
Zoom out all the way.
Yeah, zoom out all the way.
Oh, okay, yep.
No. Okay, you just put full screen view.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then you drag the bottom part of the screen.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you can actually pass through all your photos. Like you want to quickly search for photos.
Wow, this is like using a Huawei phone.
Yeah, it's a very useful feature.
Neat. It's very neat. Very neat. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay. Back to the ISO. The specs are. Okay. The ISO, the Z5 slightly lower, but nobody will push all the way to 100K anyway. And for image stabilization, it is the same as the Z6 and Z7, which have 5-axis stabilization and 5-stop stabilization. So this is a very useful thing that I'm glad they didn't skim out.
No.
Yeah. And then on top of that, if your lens have VR, you can actually use in conjunction of that to have better stability.
Okay.
Yep. And then in terms
of I think the other thing to note is this: although it's an entry level, we keep calling it entry level, but it's ending by entry level. It has full control dials front and back. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Not like some. Usually, that's the first thing that they will try and differentiate between a pro and non-pro body. They somehow take one of the stupid knobs out, and then you try and control your shutter speed and aperture through that one knob, which is just stupid.
Yeah. That's why I say if you are switching between. Okay, for me, because I'm switching between. I have two bodies. I switch between Z6 and D750, which is a DSLR.
Yes.
Sometimes there's still a bit of
changing gear.
Changing gear. Yeah, but if you're using Z6 and Z5, it's actually you're using the same body. So I think you can just quickly adapt.
So when are you getting a Z5 as your second body?
Now the Z6 II and just launched. Of course, I'm not in a hurry to get a new camera, but so let's see how it goes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Back to the other features that they skim out on is the LCD resolution. The Z6 has 2.1 million dots. The Z5 has 1 million dot. It sounds like half, but for my usage, I don't
You
notice a
probably, I
lot.
mean, I really didn't notice this. I didn't look at this screen
Yeah.
and think that it's of a lower resolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually a very good enough screen, I will say. And the best thing is because if you're shooting photos more, I bet you use the viewfinder more.
Yep.
The viewfinder resolution is actually the same as the Z6, and which is a very nice viewfinder, by the way. So I'm glad they retained that. Okay, talking about the screen is the same, the tilting screen, just up and down. Sometimes I wish they have fully articulating screen.
So this
But,
tilts up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I can
And then
flick
you can
up and shoot
down and
myself.
sort of do like above the head shots. Yeah. Or you can do like difficult to do a selfie on this, but you can do like like a low angle shots, like you can flip it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so it
that's-
doesn't flip to the front, but up and down is possible. So well, it's good enough. Better than no flipping.
I think this one has its pros and cons in terms of like if I use this as a wedding camera, I am like then it's much easier to deal with. Like I always worry when you have to rotate and flip. It's very easy to break that kind of a mechanism. Whereas this one is like it's still part of the body.
Yeah. I mean, when you are because wedding is a fast-paced event, so when you flip it out quickly, sometimes you might not treat it as gently.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other in terms of shutter speeds, it's still maintain the 1/8,000 faster shutter speed, which is a good thing.
And 1/8,000. Okay, that's another big pro body feature. Like
yes, and if you are shooting video, this is a very good plus point.
Usually for a lower end, I mean, if it's entry level, they usually go 1/4,000. Yeah, right.
Yeah, like the Z50 is 1/4,000.
And you might think it's not useful, but you try, go out and shoot with a 1.4 lens in the bright daylight and see. You find that even 1/4,000 is not enough.
Yes. Then you need your ND filter.
Yeah, and then that. So this is actually a big plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and aside from that, the burst mode, like we have mentioned, is only 4.5, but I think it's good enough for a lot of usage. But surprisingly, the Z50, the really smaller brother, has 11 frames per second. Yeah. Okay. When talk about the video part, the specs, it can shoot 4K 30 frame, but it comes with a big asterisk. It has 1.7 times crop, which some people might think is a big deal breaker. But yeah, if you can get a ultra wide angle DX lens, because since it's crop, you can use DX lens anyway, a crop sensor lens. Let's say if you put in a 11mm lens, you still can get like maybe 18mm field of view, which I think is still good enough if you are doing video.
But on the other hand, you think about it, I mean, you won't get this camera as a video camera, but you'll likely get this as a hybrid camera. In which case, you'll be shooting, full HD. Full HD is more than enough to shoot your kids running around in the park, or or even like in the wedding where you need to be a hybrid shooter, and you need to get some video in between your stills. I think it's more than good enough.
More than good enough.
I mean, for a video camera at this price point that can shoot full HD at 120p, is it?
Okay, for this it only goes up to 60p, which is slightly different from
even 60p. 60p is already good enough. 60p with the full IBIS, with auto exposure when you're shooting video, and auto focusing when you're shooting video. What else do you need?
Yes. That's a very good feature. But it even have face detects and eye detects. But for video, it only has face detection and no eye detection.
I see.
But whereas the latest Z6 and Z7 II, it has eye detection even in video.
But even then, that's not a deal breaker. If your video,
It's not a deal breaker, yeah.
whether you focus on the face or whether you're focusing on the eye as the image is moving, nobody's going to pixel pick and see the difference really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other differences, which I think is a pros for the Z5, is it has dual card slot, like you mentioned just now.
Yeah.
The Z6 has SQD and CF Express compatible. It is using USB 3.2 Gen 2. I haven't really tried copying files directly from the camera, but for powering and for charging, it has no problem.
I mean, you look at this. This is a great travel camera. Imagine you go out with 2 batteries. You have power delivery, power bank. You can charge this in your bag whenever you're not shooting. You can take it out. You can take stills. You can take video. And when you're traveling, you're not going to be setting up to shoot like 120p full frame at 4K. Like you just don't do that sort of thing during a travel shoot. Most likely, you can bring the video back, edit it quickly, and post it on YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, and you don't need super high res for that sort of work. Yeah, so looking at this, it's a perfect travel camera. I think if anybody that's looking to buy a travel camera and say and ask me, I would strongly advise them to look at this camera. At this price point, it's just, especially if you're a Nikon user. If you're a Nikon user, you already have all the lenses.
Yep.
And as you say, the performance of the adapted lenses is still very respectable. It's not like you're compromising anything from your old Nikon bodies when you're using an adapter.
Yes, that's the key thing. A decision-making thing. Like if you already have a full arsenal of lenses, if you are still shooting DSLR, I think this is a very good entry point to mirrorless.
Okay.
Unless you want a better feature one, then you can opt for Z6 II or whatever.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the end of my slide.
Okay. So I think in conclusion, maybe just a quick summary. What are your impressions after using it for 1 week? I mean, and again, in the sense that you are also a wedding photographer that's been using Nikon for a better part of your career.
Yeah, I'm glad that I had quite a long time with. I mean, not a very long time, but I used the camera extensively in photos and in videos during the trip, and then I can compare it to my Z6. But I say it is very comparable. If I don't nitpick, I won't even notice the difference. I mean, the files quality are quite comparable as well. Like, okay, if you say extreme cases, like if you're shooting 10,000 or 16,000 ISO, maybe you can see some differences. But for normal day-to-day use, even professional use, is a very good camera. Be it you want to shoot photos, you want to shoot videos, even if you want to do your YouTube channel, you want to do your live stream, it's a very good camera. In fact, I'm using the Z6 as a live stream camera now. It has auto face autofocus, and and just recently they released the webcam utility, which I don't even need to use the HDMI dongle. Yeah. So for the price point, I mean, the price I think is the curious part for this camera, which I think whoever stay until this point, Weita have some good news for you later.
Yes, I think I mean, this camera came out. As I say, for me, it's very intriguing because I don't want to spend a lot of money on my cameras because as a working photographer, it's all ROI thing rather than something that I spend, because it's a guilty pleasure. So for example, at this price point, for me to take this out to shoot an event, to shoot a wedding, to shoot a hybrid, to shoot some videos, to shoot even some corporate videos for an event, I see no limitations with this camera.
Yes. And you mentioned a very good point, like in terms of ROI, I think this is the ROI is very, very fast.
I mean, you look at the ROI this camera, if you compare to some of the cameras that Nikon released maybe just like 2 years ago, you can buy two of this with one of those releases.
In fact, I think the price now is actually cheaper than my D750. Like I bought
Yeah,
maybe
precisely.
5 6
You know,
ago.
and this is a full and you look at the 750. You know, it wasn't a mirrorless. It did not have IBIS. You know, you do not have like a electronic viewfinder as well as like electronic viewfinder. You know, like you could not do video, you know, like autofocusing and all that, you know, with the video. You know, you compare the two cameras is night and day, and this is coming out at a more attractive price point.
Yes. And like, okay, so who is this camera for? Firstly, of course, if you are a Nikon user and
It's a no-brainer.
you are using DSLR, it's a no-brainer. It's a very good price point for you to try mirrorless if you haven't tried.
Yeah.
So, but if you have already tried mirrorless and you want a second body or backup body, I think this is a very good tool to have. And let's say if you just starting out photography, you want to invest in a system, and you're deciding between brands. Of course, the timing of the announcement is quite intriguing. They announced right after the big guys announced like Canon just announced 5 and R6, which the specs are very impressive. The price tag also very impressive. And Sony A7S3 also was announced around the same time. And somehow Nikon announced this around the same time. Initially I felt that why Nikon do such thing, like people are announcing flagships and amazing specs, but why do you announce this? I think the timing is quite appropriate, especially in terms in the time like this, like in pandemic. A lot of people spend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, you have to think twice to spend, like, do I really have to invest that much for a camera? So, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of Ferraris and Lamborghini on the streets, but not every, we envy that, but we don't actually need to really get that kind of car if you don't have to. But if you just need a car to transport you from A to B, I think, this is a very good vehicle for your work.
At this price point, it's even more attractive than some crop sensor cameras, you know.
Yes. And like, I mean, it's even more comparable to the EOS R, the A7 III, which of course is not a very new camera, but if you are considering between these few cameras, I think you should really put more consideration into the Z5.
Okay. Now, just to clarify, this camera is actually provided to me by a YL camera. So I think just as just to round off our sharing tonight, in terms of pricing, the big $1 million question. Now we've talked about performance, we talked about use case for this camera. How much is this camera? So I'm going to share with you. Okay, so let's see. Yes, so that's the price, yeah?
Ta-da!
Yeah. Okay, so like you look at it, the body on this, the wire camera is running a special offer, and I think, like in conjunction with Photojam, because I called them up yesterday saying I'm doing a review, and they've put this package together. So if you look at it, we have the body only for 5,150, and together with the adapter, it's how much is the adapter? Together is the adapter is 5,649. So if you already have Nikon lenses, you might as well get the adapter, because otherwise, you will not be able to use all your legacy lenses.
Yep.
The kit here comes with which lens? The kit here comes with the 24-50. I haven't actually reviewed this lens, but if you go online, you find the reviews for this lens is actually very respectable, considering it's just a kit lens. I don't know. Have you? Yeah. I don't know whether you've actually seen this camera yourself, this lens yourself.
Yeah. Actually, I brought it to the campsite, but I just tested a few shots, and after that, I put it away because I'm a prime lens shooter, so I'm more used to prime lenses.
But a lot of reviews of this lens have been very good, so I'm quite surprised.
Yeah, it's very small and compact. You can collapse it down to a very compact size. Let's say if you are traveling, it's a very good lens to bring along.
Yeah. And then the next package for 8003 is a Z5 together with the 24-200 with the f4 to 6.3. You know, so I don't know. I guess this is for people who are just general shooters or they want a travel lens with a lot of range.
Yep.
And the last kit here is Z5 with the 2470 f4, which is the one that I have. That's the one that I have over here. Yeah. Yeah. So one thing, this lens extends a lot, but when capped, it's actually quite a compact lens. Nowadays, go ahead.
This is a native Z-mount lens, so
Native
you don't need adapter for that. Yeah.
So one thing about these lenses is I nowadays when I travel, I'm a bit lazy. I used to carry my wide open like f2.8s and primes. But nowadays I find I travel a lot with an f4 lens, a 2470, and because over the years the ISO performance of these cameras have improved so much. There's less of a need to go down one more stop at 2.8 to get that more light in. For most travel cases, f4 is good enough if you can shoot at ISO 3002 as you did during your campsite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the offer also come with quite a lot of freebies also, right?
Yeah, it comes with the bag. That's actually a Nikon bag. As well as it comes with the SD card, so it's quite a good deal.
Yeah. And there's a time range for this offer?
Yeah, it's 24th to 26th of October, so I guess it's tomorrow, today. Huh?
Yeah. Decide now.
Decide now.
Decide now.
For me.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions out there? I think I've been the most enjoyable sharing about. I think that we're both quite excited about this camera. It shows Yung Yaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell I'm a quite like seasoned Nikon shooter, and this camera really appeals to me because I can make use of all my lenses now.
And I'm very interesting to see how you use it for your work and also for your live stream events and see what your thought on that as well.
Yeah. So any last parting words before we wrap up for tonight?
Parting word. Nothing much. Stay safe. Stay at home. Keep shooting.
Okay, shooting. Okay, so. Yeah. So everybody, diam di rumah. I think the numbers are atrocious today. Someone sent me and say you can go and buy a photo with the numbers that we received today.
Yeah, because it's
4D numbers. So everybody stay safe and thank you very much for following Photojam. And as far as the offer from a YL camera, please note that it's going to be on for the next 2 days. That means tomorrow and Monday. Yes, please. And please, there's great insights from YY as always. You have many fans. Yeah? Okay.
Thanks, son.
Okay. Good night to all of you and thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Veda, for having me. Bye.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye.